Go. Welcome back to the Unranked podcast. You have Elijah here alongside Grant. We have another episode. We're going to be kind of football heavy as we're in the midst of football season. Be football heavy. We're going to kick it off with Big Ten football and, kind of just a state of what we're witnessing here. A lot of good teams, a lot of good football over the next upcoming weeks as far as top 10 teams going head to head in multiple weeks, different combinations of really teams from the same division, and that's the Big Ten East division. And I'm going to kind of kick it off to Grant here. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on what we're witnessing and what you expect to come up over the next couple of weeks here.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I personally I feel like this is kind of like where the actual season starts. Obviously Ohio State had a pretty big test. Penn State had a strong test. That week, like 4 to 5 and up is kind of like where things really start to like get rolling. Usually a lot of teams have kind of like, weaker schedule and play like non-conference, whatever that might look like. But yeah, we already know the Big Ten champion gonna come out of the East. It's just kind of crazy to see this many teams within the top 10 to 11. I think that it's gonna be a real test. And we're big Michigan guys, and I know we haven't been like super excited because we've kind of seen this story kind of happen before, and just watched how State has kind of almost pretty much dominated that rivalry in some sense over the last like 5 to 6 years. It's been, I think it might be tied for the last like 6 years, something along those lines. But yeah, it's gonna be some really good football. It's gonna be real interesting to see how Penn State bounces back, or how they look, getting their QB back. Ohio State, they're starting to kind of hit their stride already. They kind of stumbled out the gate and they lost to a top 10 team second week of the season. But yeah, they're starting to get, the offense is really starting to get rolling. So it's trying to think of who I think might come out of that side. It's easy to say Ohio, but I don't think they're as good as some other years, as good as they've been some other years. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And second, that the winner of the Big Ten is going to come out of the Big Ten East to some facet. I think, that is so heavily loaded to that side. And in particular, it's usually loaded with Ohio State, Michigan State, and which are all, kind of the old school Big Ten teams, kind of, old school Big Ten teams. And so I see why they wanted to keep us all together and have those rivalries, kind of be the fuel of our conference. But at the end of the day, you're kind of picking each other off when you always have this situation happening. I'm sitting there looking at a screenshot here, and from the 30th of October until Michigan plays Ohio State, it's every week between Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State. One of those two teams are playing each other. And so when you think that you're going to go through that gauntlet over the back half of this month and heading into late November, it's just going to be really tough for even if you are a good team, to make it through there. Ohio State already has one loss, and they have to play Michigan State and Ohio and Michigan still. And so that's two tough tasks for them. And, Michigan has to play all three still, and Penn State has to play all three, and so does Michigan State. So it's going to be very interesting. But, I kind of agree with you. I think with Ohio State having that young quarterback, we are this could be an interesting time for him to go through all that and have to go play, more than likely, I would say, Iowa coming out of the other side. So It will be it's going to be tough for any of those teams to make it through. And Ohio State already has one loss, so that'd be interesting to see how, that all plays out with trying to get into the college football playoff.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the other side? Obviously, the big topic has been, over the last few years, is just like, you got all these teams on the East kind of beating down each other. They're probably all ranked in the top 25 or at least a good part of the year every year. And then kind of got, the East where a team, Wisconsin might stumble out of there at like 7-5 or like, 8-4. Iowa will show up once every 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's really it. I can't tell you. I mean, I think Nebraska snuck in there
Yeah,
a few years back when they first
yeah.
kind of got into the Big Ten. Northwestern jumped in there a couple of different times, but it's really, I mean, it's really a toss-up any given season. So what do you think about that side?
Yeah, I think this year I do think Iowa's a pretty solid team. You know, obviously they just lost to a team they probably had no business losing to last week. I think that was, um, but I think they're going to ultimately probably come out of that side. And I think maybe the kind of the people who formed the conference alignment or the division alignment, I should say, I think they probably thought they would help one of the other teams flourish. You know, maybe Nebraska would pick it up, or Wisconsin would pick it up, or somebody like that would be very consistent,
Yeah,
and instead of just getting that runoff, very good team that can come out of there.
yeah,
So I think I think that's had to be their thought process is let's keep the rivalries going on one side and let's help one of these other teams, crack into, a taste of victory all the time and maybe get a good pipeline going and kind of change the trajectory of one of those teams. But that's not working out that way. And ultimately you're just costing yourself more teams at a shot into the playoffs, and robbing good teams out of opportunities of making it in.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at how like the SEC. I mean, how they got it. I mean, you got, if I'm not mistaken, Bama and LSU on one side. You got Florida and Georgia on another side. I'm not gonna be able to rattle off, who all's what. I mean, that's like the four big. That's the four, probably the four best teams in that conference alone, and they each got to see each other their own side, but like it ain't as detrimental as it is for like they're not going through it's a crazy gauntlet of like they're not all in one side where it's like you know the fourth best team in that conference could probably be the first best team in the other conference.
I'll be safe to say any of the teams I named, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, would probably walk the table on the other side, other division,
Okay.
other side, and
Yeah.
easily get a shot at Indy.
Yeah.
And instead, two or three of those teams are going to be at home, and why they're another team from the other side that they're better than will
Yeah.
be representing. So it's kind of that's just not fair, and it's not sparring the competition that you'd think you would see. So
Yeah. I think you should do North and South. I mean, you could do like Michigan State, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Rutgers, Maryland, um, maybe like the Illinois schools, maybe like one of the Indiana schools or something, and then South would just be Iowa, Nebraska. I think Northwestern is more South. I'm not totally sure. It's just literally like
yeah,
off the
yeah,
top of
yeah.
my head. Ohio State, Penn State. Um, I don't know, definitely can make it. It ain't
Maryland,
gotta be just strict
yeah,
city,
Maryland,
Maryland.
yeah,
I feel like that off alone is kind of like rattling that off. I mean, that just seems a little bit
sounds
more.
more along.
Yeah, I mean, it seems a little bit better. You know what I mean? I think like yeah, but they like how it is right now is just like you just got like the East. I mean, it's big. It's still the Big Ten, but it's just like so pedestrian, like compared to the other side. So you just got to try to shake it up a little bit. This is just to get them two teams in the playoff. Like right now, they'll never get two teams in the playoff.
Right.
All that getting two teams in the playoff, all that would do is bring more money to the Big Ten. So like you would think they try to work. Maybe they are working on something, especially with like a lot of that expansion stuff coming up in the next like 3-4 years, most likely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know we talked about that briefly a few, I don't know, probably a month, six podcasts ago or so, but the Big Ten expanded. I do think that has to come. I do think
Mm-hmm.
that's the next evolutionary step. You can't just let other conferences gobble up that space, that recruiting area. That I mean, lots of stuff comes when bigger conferences are coming through and taking territories that you could easily also have. I think you know and then I view it because I am Big Ten heavy, and I think that I want to root for kids that are locally, whether that's Michigan kids, whether that's just Midwest kids in general.
Mm-hmm.
I do think regionally it helps us to try to fight for positioning, and it also helps us to realign this so that you are getting more teams at a shot in the playoffs where you're nationally recognized.
Is basketball? They don't have basketball like split up. It's not split up
I
by
don't think
different
so.
sides, is it?
No,
It's
I'm
just
pretty sure
like
it's not. Yeah, I
okay,
think you just play everybody. like
Yeah,
round robin type.
I didn't know if that was something that I didn't know if like the ACC or like the SEC had something like that. But I don't know. I wasn't totally sure on that. But yeah, no, I think well, yeah, we'll see in due time. I mean, like I said, I feel like if they want to just be able to give teams a shot, it's going to be some great football over these next 4 or 5 weeks. I know that.
I agree.
So
I agree, and I know we'll dive in more heavy
yep.
versus some of the teams next week as we're approaching some of the games, including Michigan State, which is on Halloween Eve, in East Lansing. So, that's going to be an epic game. So we're going to get more depth into those in upcoming weeks. And, you're going to also try to keep it locally here and dive and transition into, homecoming of sorts, even though I believe the Lions are on the road for this one. But a homecoming of sorts for us, getting to see Stafford play in golf, getting to go back to LA. Yeah. And, I just, kind of what's your thoughts on that as we're only, probably 4 days away from that. Thoughts on getting to finally play Stafford.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad. It's gonna be. I mean, I'm not even gonna watch it. Like it ain't even worth the time. Yeah, it's just gonna be one of them situations where I was telling you before we got on here. I think the Rams were favored by like 16, 17 points. Yeah.
Yeah,
watching like you would think, people thought that they might have a chance against the Bengals, 35-11. Just was like golf just doesn't look good. I mean, the offense is depleted, injuries starting to pop up. So I mean, we're literally literally like a wounded animal, and it ain't. And that I mean, they're going. I'd be shocked if we don't have at least like 40, 42 to 45 points. So yeah, it's probably going to be, golf. I mean, coach just called him out, which I think was right that he did, because he is really he really ain't been playing well, and the last few weeks, and yeah, I mean, you just said like the Lions got like a bottom 5 defense, just missing like key players at like every level of the defense. Got a lot of rookies out there, which is promising. It's just showing that they are playing well. A lot of them are starting to grade pretty well, just as far as like data, plays and whatnot. But I mean, it's gonna be pretty crazy. Obviously we all still rooting for Stafford, so you hope that he kind of is able to put a good game together for 3-4 touchdowns, start to kind of start being the league leader in some categories, start going after that MVP.
Yeah, no, I think I think some Lions fans are beginning to realize just how good he was.
Yeah,
I think and this is only going to help further that when he comes and I personally think he's going to come and probably shoot to try to put 50 on us.
Yeah,
I think he was in my personal opinion, unrightfully voted as the person that was one of the issues I just don't think he was, and I think that's going to come to show, and it is already coming to show. If we had Stafford on this team alone, we probably would already have probably 2 victories.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could give us that at two times where golf alone has lost us a game.
Definitely would have beat the Ravens.
Yep.
Like that would have made that happen, and probably could have stolen from like the Bears or the Vikings.
Yeah. I mean, we play lots of close games, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So I just see that, and then I've seen videos this week on Twitter of people like shit talking his wife after losses, and when he was on the Lions, and I just think all of that's gonna boil up and turn out to us just not just kind of taking one on the chin, and he's gonna, like you said, probably catapult himself into the MVP race, which would be the ultimate slap in the face to us is if he goes and puts a MVP on his mantle after this, and and we traded away MVP for whatever we got, and and it's also kind of funny. It just hit me that we're both wearing the Hawaiian blue, so. But yeah, so No, I mean, I ultimately, obviously, we're Lions fans, but I will be honest, I don't see a good outcome in this, and I'm personally kind of rooting for Stafford in this one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I want to pad the stats, get 320, 300, 325, throw a couple 60-yard bombs, preferably to Cooper Kupp. He's my fantasy team. I could definitely use that. I don't have a chance this week. I could definitely use a good 30 piece from him. But no, I mean, I feel like I'm hoping that he's able to have a big game, and it's rightfully so, because I feel like we did him a pretty bad disservice. Like you just hit on the head. Like they tried to find a way to make it his fault. We couldn't even give him a coach for more than like 3 years. And then when they found a good coach and had him for 4 years, Caldwell, found a way to ruin that too. So it's like, I feel like they just, after a while, I mean, yeah, like, his record wasn't the greatest, but I think 76-90, I mean, they had an 0-16 season. So like, you know what I'm saying? To be able to kind of like even come close to being that, around that at 500, I mean, I just feel like that's it's a pretty big accomplishment in itself. In that unstable of an organization, it's been that unstable for probably close to 25, 30 years.
yeah, and so when was this? So we got one more loss since then. The Lions are 14-39 since firing Jim Caldwell, and we fired Jim Caldwell because he went 9-7. So
In that game, that last game he lost of that season, I never forget it. They lost to the Bengals on some like BS just pass run down the sideline. Literally lost. I think it was like an overtime or something like that. So like we went to playoffs 2 out of those 4 years,
something like that.
and that was the same. I mean, that was around that time too. I think Aaron Rodgers threw that ball, threw that Hail Mary. They thought that they got his face mask, and they didn't. Like,
yeah. No,
and
he got cheated. We got cheated in the playoffs with
yeah,
the coach. So yeah, no, I agree completely. I'm just bringing that up to say that we've never done any of our great players
right.
any service. So
Like it'd be crazy to see Calvin Johnson's what his record is while he was there, or like wins and losses when he played. Because
yeah, no, I agree. So it's going to be tough. Tough to watch him come out
yeah,
and just to see what we have on the other side. But ultimately, I think he's headed for good things this year, and the Lions headed for the first pick. So yeah,
yeah, that's all I can look this year. I mean, all I can look forward to 2 first-round draft picks, and like for the next couple of years, that's literally all there is to hang your hat on. Like it's going to be. Not gonna be able to get rid of Goff. Gonna have him for another year. Maybe they'll draft QB and just sit him down. And because I don't think I'd give him away for like a 5th round pick, 4th round pick. Like he's done. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not.
Yeah.
After this year, he's gonna be so defeated.
Yeah, he has all that money on his contract though.
Yeah, that's what's tough. God, how did he get that? Even that year.
Super Bowl.
Even that year, like, so I had him on a fantasy team. He only had he threw 30 touchdowns, but he had 20 in 6 games, 6 or 7 games, something crazy. And then the rest of the season, he had more interceptions and touchdowns. I don't know. He was just
yeah.
He was still so hot and cold. I mean, obviously they were nice. I mean, they had Gurley, and I mean he was just surrounded. Stafford never saw anything close to what. He had a couple of good offenses when he was in Detroit, but. I mean, he ain't had no defense that Goff had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy, though. It's hopefully, yeah. I mean, 2023, that's just really, kind of what it's going to be for Detroit.
100%. So, what else we have on the docket for today, man? I'm drawing a blank.
We were just going to just kind of touch on that thing that Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Starting to kind of catch some steam. So now I was sent you a screenshot earlier. Obviously Deshaun Watson had some very serious stuff going on off the field. Not taking that very seriously. But it looks like he might end up being on the move and heading over to the Dolphins. So, and I don't really see a lot of 3-team trades go on in NFL where they were saying it might be something to where it might be something on that effect where Watson might he's going to end up in Miami, obviously, and Tua end up in Washington. And I'm kind of thinking like I don't really know like. I mean, Houston would probably just have to get, probably a pick from Washington and a couple picks from Miami, something kind of crazy. Still, like, we don't even – Deshaun Watson, I mean, he might not even play, for the next, like, year and a half or so. So you got to just think, like, what are the Dolphins thinking? And, trade deadline is November 2nd, I believe. So that's 12 days. So what do you think? What do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah, no. You never see blockbuster trades in the NFL. I feel like it's not a thing. Like you said, 3-team trades in NFL that's got to be damn near unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do think he is an awesome player. He's 25, maybe 26. He's very young. Phenomenal player, and I think you said it earlier. He was a borderline top 5 player. When his last time we seen him out there, so he's one of those players that are a real difference maker. And if whatever's happening on outside, out on regarding the court situation and all that stuff, if that is resolved, or if they might think that is going to be resolved if people are considered trading for him, that would lead me to think that maybe there is a light at the end of that tunnel for him as well. And we'll see what that outcome is and that happens. But outside of that, I think he is a real difference maker. And if you can get him on the field, he's going to take any team that is a pretty solid team anyway to the next level. And he's definitely one of those type of players. It's kind of funny how fast people can, you can forget about somebody really. He was a awesome player just last year. I remember couldn't wait to watch him play.
Passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were bad too. Like they were like 4-12, but he had them like almost every game. They ended up losing a lot of games by like one score. So yeah. And then what do you think about like this Tua, man? I mean, I feel like I think Tua's a great I think he's a good player. He's a great college player. I just anytime you like 6'1", 190, 195, like not a crazy arm, just I just kind of get like he's already pretty injury prone. I mean, I just kind of get like Baker vibes. I don't know. I ain't trying to do him dirty. I mean, Baker's good. Baker's a great QB when he has like a supporting cast. I feel like Tua needs to be in that same situation.
I think if he was, I don't know. He just seems disposable. He seems kind of like nobody really wants him. I think they kind of, he got hurt in college, and then the whole draft was kind of funny for him, and then he ended up here, and then he didn't start his rookie year, I mean, and then he did all of a sudden, then they pulled him. It's just really weird. Like every situation is kind of odd for him. So, I could just, I'm not sure. I think he deserves a fair shot. But I'd be being perfectly honest, other than watching highlights, I haven't sat there and just watching him play in the pros yet. So I couldn't tell you really how he looks. I do know he's always getting injured, but I haven't sat there and watched him really play yet.
I watched him play for the first time this past Sunday. Actually, they were in London. They lost. It wasn't his fault they lost, but he's just I don't know. Like one of his receivers had like 10 catches for like 70 yards. But then you'll see, I don't know, he just don't be like putting the ball down the field. You know what I mean? Like you'll see like some receiver, Devontae Adams have 10 catches for like 150. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just like he don't like that. The big play is not. And I feel like I thought he had a pretty decent arm. He was in college.
Yeah, he was launching the ability.
For some reason, he's just, just really, it's like kind of like check down. Like maybe that's the offense they run too. That Flores does come from like that Patriot coaching tree. So like maybe that's part of it. That team, they were okay last year, 10-6 missed the playoffs. Like you said, that was Fitzpatrick won like 7 or 8 of them games by himself. So yeah, it just kind of sucks because he didn't even get he's not even really get a full 3 years. And I think Washington would be a good situation for him. They're not playing the greatest. You got Heineke there. Is it just to his job when he gets there? Is Heineke, get a chance to Heineke, he don't win some big games. He didn't play in some big games. So it's just it's weird. Like I said, Tua was a great player in college, and it's kind of like, I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of like that. I would say the Bama, a little while ago, it was kind of like Bama QBs don't really do as well, but they also got 3 starting right now.
Yeah.
So
I think I think it's a combination of a lot of things, kind of like you said. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think maybe that hip has it where his arm, like he can't put that hip into it no more and can't throw the deep ball. Maybe,
possible.
maybe I don't. I'm not sure. I know he like they say he shattered that shit. So I'm not.
Yeah, bad.
Um, maybe that is he just can't push the ball down the field like he once could, or
Bruising
maybe
his ankles,
yeah, maybe
broken ribs right now. Like,
yeah.
it's something he's got them players that they just can't stay healthy either. Like, it's unfortunate, but like Garoppolo the same way. I thought he just be blowing them the wrong way. He out a month, like it sucks, but I mean a lot of guys are like that. So I think everybody deserves a second chance. I mean I don't think he wasn't like how like Darnold was in New York or something. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure he'll get a fair shot. I like Ron Rivera. I think he's a decent coach. I think he'll at least get a chance if it does happen. This is all speculation. I mean, this is just something that I
Yeah,
saw.
no, potential trade, back to just the heart of it, that trade, I think that'd be a mega trade and, would have playoff ramifications.
How many
And
first round
I know
picks?
Houston was asking, you said what?
How many first round picks Miami gonna give up? You think? How
I
many you
think,
think they
I
actually?
think combined Houston will probably get like 5 back. 4,
Yeah.
5,
Yeah.
2 ones apiece.
Yeah. I mean, I probably like 3 ones and a couple twos. Or a fifth, third, or fourth in there. I mean, fourth round, that's very valuable. So that's a pretty valuable round, Have one be like compensatory or like conditional, like depending on how obviously it'll change based on their team's record, but like there's other things you kind of throw in there to make it to where it's more into Texans' favor.
Right. I agree.
Nobody gives a shit about the Texans. That's the only team you're not talking about.
Yeah. No, I couldn't tell you one fucking thing about the Texans right now.
Yeah. No.
They
So.
traded away everybody. Okay.
Right.
Facts. Yeah, no, for sure. That's all you got for the peoples?
Yeah. That's all I got, man.
No, I agree. So we'll be back at it next week. The big game coming up for Michigan next weekend. We're gonna dive in heavy to that. Touch back into, Big Ten football. Maybe get a little snapshot of what the Pistons look like through the first week. Your Lakers through week 1, and we'll go from there. Yeah, peace.
All right.